Looking great, Ryan. Look dashing.
Thank you so much. You guys also are looking incredible. How are we doing?
Good, man. Good.
Good, good.
Talk to me.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna kick off by talking about my niche, which other people might enjoy because nobody really still knows what I do. But I think it'll be really helpful. So my niche is transactional funding. I'm gonna read this off so that I don't lose myself.
You're good.
So the way it works is that some real estate transactions, this is in the real estate investing space, require you to come up with short-term capital due to requirements. Might be a lender, might be the structure of the deal, something like that. In those situations, I'm the guy that brings that short-term capital. So I solve that problem for investors. I get paid really well, sometimes ridiculously well for doing that because not many people have the knowledge and the experience and the speed to do what I do. So that's kind of the very niche factor of it, especially because there's a lot riding on the line. So they want somebody they can trust. It's got a track record that can do it well, right? So that is my business in itself. My current situation is that my Skool community teaches that niche
Yeah.
and then funnels my actual business, which is pretty cool system that I kind of stumbled on. So Skool community does about 50,000 plus or minus a month right now. The business itself does anywhere from like 10 to 100,000, pretty vast. And I'll talk about more of that in a second. Desired situation baseline, I'm just trying to get to $1 million a month, 12 million a year. That's my current goal. So my problem is that the niche itself is very unpredictable. So I'll have people that I'll work with once. I would say very commonly, I work with them once, never work with them again. Some people I'll work with them once, maybe work with them
Yeah.
6 months down the road. Some people I'll work with on a repeated basis, but it's kind of like what you talk about with the agencies where you tell them that you intend to churn out, right? Like they don't want to work with me in theory, and that's my problem is that I have a lot of great borrowers, all this good stuff. But I'm almost like a last resort. Like people like working with me, but they'd rather not pay me the amount that they pay me,
Sure.
right? So my question is, knowing that unpredictability, which has probably been the biggest issue I've faced over the last year, let's say, both in my business and for the community, right? Because that trickles down. It
Yeah.
also means I can teach somebody
Yeah.
exactly what to do, and they can still not get the result for
Yeah.
6 months, let's say. So knowing that situation, what would your game plan be in this situation with the goal that I have in mind?
So I'll give you this line, which is that volatility is a symptom of low volume. So right now, what appears volatile is an outcome of not enough demand. So the question is more like, how do I increase demand tenfold so that I have more business? Now, real estate in general is cyclical, so that part is normal. But one of my closest friends is the president of Real Brokerage, so I'm
Yep.
fairly familiar with the cyclical nature of real estate. And they've had 2 record years in a row. They've 6x'd in the last 24 months. So like a lot of growth when most of the market didn't, and that's just because he's a savage. And so the big thing that he did was he came in and just focused purely on demand. That's all he did. He blew the doors off, and they went
Yeah.
from 5,000 agents to 20,000 agents or something like that in that period of time. And so
Yeah.
right now in your business, it's basically how can I reliably acquire referral partners who bird dog these deals for me essentially. And so that every month I acquire 10 more people who send me one deal every 2 months. And so
Yeah.
it's really like like the thing that makes your business reliable is the distribution network, not the deals.
Right.
So you're going to have nodes of distribution, and your acquisition costs of a node is basically the real business. The fact that you run the transaction underneath in order to get paid is like a side. Well, it's how you transact. Sure, it's how you make money,
Yeah.
but like the actual business is going to be about supporting the partners that send you business.
Right. So I kind of stumbled upon that on accident. So the entire Skool community has a website that I built that funnels their traffic to me. So
Mm-hmm.
my business has 20x probably in the last 6 months as far as revenue goes. The problem is that doesn't trickle down to them, right?
Got it.
So
So
my
they're getting
my
deals.
amplified success, yeah.
Yeah.
So they get deals, right? And like I just did one yesterday. They needed 1.6 million bucks. We had like 24 hours to get it, right?
Yeah.
So that to the average human, average we're talking about here is like holy crap.
Yeah.
They come to me and I'm like, I got you, no
Yeah.
problem, right? So I solve the problem, but those people, I have 4,500 people right now that
Yeah.
are my deal getters, right? So like, I'm
Yeah.
not saying I have it figured out, but it's working. But for those people, they are just one, right? And so
Yeah.
me, I see a path where I continue to level up. I
Yeah.
want to either A, create something where everybody else can level up, or B, maybe figure out another path
So
entirely.
there's basically two answers for them, right? So answer number one is that you try and teach them alternative strategies of generating more deal flow. Or number two, they get better economics on the deal. Like those are basically your two levers. Get more customers, make them worth more, right? And so it's like either like your path for growth is actually really straightforward. But if your question is not about
Yeah,
your path, but about their path, then it's still straightforward, just at one level chunk down, which is what reliable lead generation methods can I teach them so that they're not just giving me one deal every 6 months, but one deal every week,
yeah,
right? Now, like always, there's gonna be 80-20. Some guys are gonna execute, a lot of them aren't. Um,
100%.
and you'll probably have to teach them grassroots stuff because the payments are going to be delayed, I would assume, for them. And so them fronting ad spend, things like that's probably gonna be tough, but them knocking on doors, doing cold outreach for these types of people in their local market, probably very doable, very boots on the
Yep.
ground, and you can probably help them with that. And so one is expanding their mini nodes to refer to you, right? So like they create their distribution base of 20, 100, 500 people who then are referring them a deal. And each one of those 500 only does 2 deals a year or whatever
Yep.
to them. But then that's 1,000 deals a year, which is 3 deals a day, right?
Yep. Got it.
For
So
them.
just basically duplicate my model for them
Yeah,
in a sense, and give
100%.
them that same volume. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Other thing there is with those businesses in general. Um, I don't know that I necessarily want to be in the education business forever. Probably not a shocker. And so I'm looking at this as, again, it's very niche. There actually is not a lot of people that do the volume that I do in this niche. That's how small it is. And so, I've got that thing, right? I've got to hold on that thing. But I've also acquired a lot of other skills and things that I thoroughly enjoy, like business, right? Like just like maybe not just like, but you doing gym launch to doing what you do now, right? Like I see a very clear path where that's something that I would enjoy, but I don't really see the 12 months, 5 years, whatever to get there. Is there something that you see on that path, or is it just shut up and keep doing what you're doing, and it'll reveal itself?
Well, really long term, it becomes vertical integration. So right now you have lenders and whatnot, but over time you become the lender. And then you get the points there too, right? It's just like
Right.
basically like in the real estate game, it's almost all about vertical, basically how much of the stack do you own, right? It's like if you just look at like real estate over in general, it's like the biggest companies they'll buy the dirt, they'll actually build the building, they'll get the returns there. They'll get the returns on turning dirt into infrastructure with piping and plumbing and permits and zoning. And so they get the alpha there. Then they get the alpha on the building where they get 30 or 40% on the build. And then after they get the build, then they get the next arbitrage on getting it completely rented out. And so then there's another step up that's getting multiplied on NOI, right? And so like and they're the ones who own the capital, whatever. And so most of the real estate businesses work that way. And so I think for you though, like there's so many more deals to be done. And so it's like I would just be wondering like how many deals a month are you doing right now? I know you said it varies. Just give me an average.
20.
Okay, so if you're doing 20 deals, it's like how do I get to 200?
Yeah.
Like that, because fundamentally, for you to get to 1 million a month, you need to do 200 deals a month, right? And so that's the big problem to solve. And then when you have that cash flow, to also open up more doors, more resources that you can kind of eat up in the stack.
Yeah. Got it.
That make
Cool.
sense?
Appreciate it. Yep.
Rock and roll, man.